we start this show today with the schedule of the team that is front and center and is 100% the story of the season going in and will be the season-long storyline arc. And it's not just because they're the defending Super Bowl champs. It's the defending back-to-back Super Bowl champs. This is the first opportunity for a three-peat season the NFL has seen since 2005. And when the Chiefs went back-to-back in Las Vegas and were picking the confetti out of their hair after beating the San Francisco 49ers in overtime, it snapped the longest repeat Super Bowl championship drought in NFL history. So this is the longest we've waited for a three-peat season. We've seen three-peat seasons attempted 8 times before. Nobody's made it back to the Super Bowl. Nobody's even taken it to the final game, woken up on Super Sunday saying today could be the day we make NFL history. The last three-peat champ in the NFL were the Packers, who won the NFL championship prior to the Super Bowl's creation in 1965 through 67. Only 3 teams made it as far as the conference championship. And the last team to do that, TJ Jefferson, were your Dallas Cowboys, who lost in the de facto Super Bowl game of the NFC Championship game in San Francisco, a game that we have spoken about multiple times on this program with Irv and Prime and Steve Young.
Irv, that's why.
Right, and all of those guys who have been here, who played in that 94 game. The 90 San Francisco 49ers made it as far, and so did the 76 Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 teams lost in the divisional round, the 74 Miami Dolphins and the aforementioned 2005 New England Patriots. 3 missed the playoffs entirely. The last team that happened to were the 99 Denver Broncos, because if you recall, John Elway walked off into the helicoptered off into the sunset, right?
This one's for John.
Right. The 80 Pittsburgh Steelers and the 68 Green Bay Packers missed the playoffs entirely. And that's the setup for the Kansas City Chiefs schedule release last night. Because, again, the number of trolling opportunities folks have about how big of a deal we make of the schedule release. Yes, we knew that the Chiefs were going to play the Ravens in Arrowhead this year. And we knew the Chiefs were going to play the Cincinnati Bengals in Arrowhead this year. But we did not know that they were playing them back-to-back until those games got released earlier this week, leading us to go ahead and graphically mark them off of the possible opponent's sheet with a Taylor Swift photograph. Now we know who all the opponents are with all of their entire schedule mapped out week to week, 1 through 18, which means that was a gratuitous way to put Taylor Swift's face on the screen 17 times. What, Hoskins, you can work a floating one in for the bye week in there? But at any rate, that's the point, is we now know the order of things. And we now know, because we were talking earlier this week, who is going to be the week 3 opponent after that very difficult crucible of a start of a Ravens-Bengals back-to-back at home start. Would it be at Carolina, which would be, with all due respect to the Panthers, the easiest road opponent to place there in week 3? No, they're going to Atlanta. And they're going to Atlanta in a primetime game, Sunday Night Football. Second time they'll be in front of Mike Tirico and crew on NBC with Collinsworth in the first 3 games of the schedule. Then they're at the Chargers. Then they're home for the Saints, and then they have a bye before they have the Super Bowl rematch against San Francisco. After which, they're at Vegas, home for Tampa on a Monday night. And then week 10 is their first 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff of the season. They're either on at night or they're on in a late window on CBS or Fox, because the league wants, obviously, the entire country to see them, or most of the entire country. The game against Buffalo is a late window on CBS in Week 11. We'll talk about that with Jim Nantz later on and so forth. But the anomalies that are out there with the Monday night games into a Sunday, which is what the 2005 Patriots only had to deal with for short weeks because there was no Thursday night football back in 2005, the last three-peat season. The Patriots had only 2 Monday nighters that year, just 2 short weeks for those Patriots to play on a Monday night and then turn around and play the following Sunday. They went 1-1 in those games. These Chiefs have 4 short weeks, and they also have some wild anomalies on their schedule. Okay? Because of the advent of midweek Christmas games and a Black Friday post-Thanksgiving game. These are things that did not exist along with Thursday Night Football when the 2005 Patriots had to go for their three-peat, the last, again, three-peat attempted in the NFL. As a matter of fact, these Kansas City Chiefs, once they complete their season, will have the first NFL season in which a team plays on 6 different days of the week since the 1927 New York Yankees.
Whoa.
Yes.
Wow.
There was in the NFL for 2 years a team called the New York Yankees, and in 1927, they were much worse than the actual 1927 Murderers Row New York Yankees, in which Babe Ruth hit 60 home runs. The only day of the week these Chiefs will not play in or on this year is a Tuesday. They play 2 on Monday, 1 on a Wednesday, Christmas, 1 on a Thursday for regular straight-up Thursday night football. That game, let me make sure I get this correct. Color-coded, Suze, I got to look for that. What's that? It's yellow. They are taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Thursday night game is actually not a Thursday night on Amazon. It's the kickoff. Duh. 1 on Friday, Black Friday against the Raiders. They play 1 on Saturday, and that's before Christmas. And the reason why they're playing on Saturday, they have to, because that allows them at least the short amount of rest you would normally get playing on Sunday to Thursday, because they're turning around and playing Saturday to Wednesday. And that Saturday game is a short week for them because they're playing the previous Sunday.
Gee.
If they win on 5 of those days, okay, 5 of the 6, they will become the first team in NFL history to win at least 1 game on 5 different days of the week in a single season. They're opening up with back-to-back home games, but they finish the season with back-to-back road games. If you wouldn't mind putting up the schedule one more time. At Pittsburgh, at Denver. And at Pittsburgh is the Christmas game, short week. My goodness. They're finishing the season with 3 of their final 4 games against playoff teams from last year. Denver's the only one that didn't make the playoffs last year. At Cleveland is what they play before their short week game against Houston, the AFC South champs, on that Saturday short week, before taking on Pittsburgh short week on Christmas. And we all know Pittsburgh made the playoffs last year. They finish 3 of their final 4 games on the road. That game against Houston is the only one that's in Arrowhead. And these are the anomalies of the schedule. This is why the schedule matters. You find out the short weeks. You find out it's a 6 week for just the first 5 weeks before bye. It's a week 6 bye, which is not that great. You find out that one thing that teams hate the most, coaches hate the most, is any disruption of the norm and the schedule and what teams are used to doing. They love to be routinized, coaches and teams. How does playing on 6 different days of the week sound to you? So that's what the league has put on the docket for the team attempting the first ever successful three-peat in the history of the Super Bowl era. This is why the schedule release matters. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.